Welcome to the American Soccer Crash Course. Back here in February of 2023, second show of the new year. You may be wondering where the show's going. We're gonna get to that in 1 second. The future of the show. Just a few reminders. If you could like and subscribe on YouTube. The producer learned thumbnails.
Did
he? Big moment. Big moment.
Took him a month, but he got there.
Yeah, and so our views actually are like last video got 8 times the amount of average views. So one thinks that maybe had the producer just taken 20 minutes to figure out thumbnails, that could have been really beneficial during crunch time.
I'm not going to hold it against him.
Yeah. He got there eventually, and that's all he can have.
Right, exactly. So in addition to liking and subscribing on YouTube, rate us on Spotify and Apple, and allows us to expand the base of the podcast, the lifeblood of the podcast. So speaking of that, the pod is going to take 2 future forms. So what you're looking at right now, me, Max, and Lodge, that is the core of the operation. The future of kind of covering the U.S. men's national team. But as you know, the U.S. men's national team only really plays every once in a while, only like 10 games a year maybe. So the coverage is slow if you're talking strictly the team. And so we're excited to announce our new project, the Monday Morning Center Back, which is going to be like a weekly review of how the U.S. men's national team players played abroad, because U.S. soccer is more than just the men's national team. So we're really going to focus on people you would know from the World Cup, being a casual fan. And so, for example, Leeds United States, we're going to get to them today. Lots of Americans playing there. And we're really looking to get a scout network to paint the picture for you, almost like what's the show, Around the Horn, where we can. I know, Lodge, you're going to be in and out, and kind of
Lodge is the Jay Mariotti.
Yeah.
That's a good pull.
Who's the guy from Denver, with the
Woody
hair?
Page?
Yeah, Woody Page. Yeah, we're looking for our Woody Page. So if you're a listener of the pod and you're interested in covering these guys, I know we're gonna break it down into teams and have people watch certain games and reconvene. We are looking for people, and it's obviously we got the studio here, which is great, but we're thinking this will be a more casual 15 to 20 minute operation that we do remotely each week. So we're really excited for that. And it's going to focus on the players playing in the top 5 leagues. So we won't make you watch any less, more inferior leagues that we're not going to name them directly. So yeah, today we're going to do a little bit of a roundup. There's been lots of newsworthy, podcast-worthy stuff to talk about for the U.S. men's national team. I've been talking a lot. How are you guys doing?
I'm good. I'm good to be back. It's been a while since we've done the pod, but a lot's been going on the U.S. men's national team side. So, we do have a lot to talk about. I've been good, though. Lodge, how have you been?
Feeling a little weird. You feel like you're a little bit of a higher height than me.
Yeah.
You're looking down on me.
You guys always give me the center power position, and I don't know why. But
have you seen the numbers on his reels? He's kicking our ass, Lodge.
That is true. You have the ability. I don't know what it is. Something about TikTok or it's that boyish charm. But I don't know. I'm sounding my voice again. I'm hearing my voice again, and it sounds a little bit weird. So it's gonna take me probably about 5 minutes to get back into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're gonna give you no time to really think about it. We're gonna jump right into the wheel. So if you've seen our references like the yak, we got several topics today, none of which particularly precede the others in terms of importance. So we're gonna do a little wheel action. It'll be here on the screen, producer, and yeah. All right, so I'm gonna spin this bad boy. Can we all see it? Can you all see it at once if I spin it? I don't know, but
give me a second to whip it out.
All right, yeah.
Oh, is it like a dynamic wheel? If you play it,
I don't know. We're gonna find out.
We're gonna
That's our first experience with the wheel.
So you
That's
go ahead
a
and
fancy
tap
wheel.
Wow.
Yeah, so we got 5 pictures here. We got Gio Reyna, transfer news, U.S. Soccer Organization news / coach, Copa America, and January camp. So let's spin this bad boy. Let me know if you see it.
I do not.
Oh, that's too bad. All right, well, I'll let you know when it hits. Oh, it's between January camp and it's January camp. starting off early with probably the most boring topic on here. So the U.S. men's national team did play soccer this past week.
Allegedly.
It was in L.A., but even the fans in L.A. were like, nah, we're not going to that. So to give you the breakdown, it wasn't an official FIFA window. It was kind of like a window for our MLS players, because the MLS season is different from, the European season. European season is essentially the school year, whereas MLS is like baseball calendar, because you got to play in the summer more. So to give you guys the rundown, our kind of C/D team lost to Serbia 1-2. It was also Serbia's light team, and then drew Colombia 0-0. For the casuals, there was really nothing to write home about. It was a good opportunity. We brought in some dual nationals who, like in terms of recruiting and the future, that could be important, but really no names you really got to know. I would say Walker Zimmerman deserves to be in the hot seat. He made like a pretty bad error in addition to not having a great World Cup. So I think with John Brooks kind of back in the pictures we're going to get to, I think Walker Zimmerman should be on the hot seat. And I think he might be fighting with John Brooks for what I would call our last center back spot.
Our mainstay, our old guy. What would you call him? No, not Tim Ream. Tim Ream's like kind of new to the team, I would say in general, but like as far as old people, grandpas who have been with the team for a long time, and have some experience. Yeah,
just like like a locker room guy.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. I think at some point it only goes so far, right?
Mm-hmm.
I believe some of these. At some point, some of these dudes like Pulisic, Adams, Weston, like they just hold so much more weight, right? I don't know.
Probably.
Yeah, I mean, in staying true to my casual fan roots here, I did not watch these two games.
You didn't miss a damn thing.
I've heard I did not. So
yeah, I mean, even you can literally get on a U.S. men's national team podcast and it's completely reasonable. Like you missed nothing. Fans at home, you missed nothing. But we did play, so I got to tell you about it. I guess one other big takeaway would be that Anthony Hudson, who we talked about last time, who was the interim coach, who was like a historically bad MLS coach, like one of the worst records ever at MLS. He was in the Berhalter kind of coaching staff, so that's why he got handed this. He did absolutely nothing to like even promote himself. So I really hope he's not a serious candidate for the job. Any last thoughts on this one? I watched it, so I figured I would kind of take it away, but.
I'm glad you did, because I did not.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
Did you watch it?
I mean, I was drunk during both games, and there was nothing.
Okay. Well, that's okay. More than I can say.
Yeah. So.
All right. January countdown. We're going back to the wheel.
It's a bit anticlimactic if we're not being able to see it.
I think it is the same.
It's close though. It's another close one. Oh, and it sneaks in to Copa America.
All right,
boys. I'm gonna let you take this one. How do we feel about Copa America? It was just announced last week that it's going to be in the United States for 2024. It's going to include 6 CONCACAF teams and all of South America. So, initial thoughts, Lodge.
I'm honestly pretty excited. For the person at home, I think we've talked about Copa America a little bit. For those of you who don't know, just to remind you, Copa America is kind of the regional tournament. Usually every 20 years or so, the North American teams kind of join with the South American teams. But because we're hosting the World Cup, they actually gave us the ability to host it this time around. I'm very excited because it gives us an opportunity to play against some top-level teams, like Argentina, who just won the World Cup, Brazil, I would say Chile, even in that Uruguay.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited because I don't think a lot of people know about it. And so as we talked about before the podcast, we're probably going to get cheap tickets to some pretty high-class games.
Yeah, like we were saying, it's a budget World Cup. And like in terms of accessibility, no one's talking about it, but I think people are going to be really excited about it when it's here because they're going to be like, oh, we can see, I don't know if Messi will play in the Copa America.
I think he might. I'm optimistic.
Yeah.
And that by itself is a...
Messi is playing like Colombia, like in my home city, and like it's the Copa America. So tickets, might be reasonable, at least relative to the World Cup. So there's going to be cool opportunities to see some really good soccer. And I'm selfishly very excited because, I'm probably going to go to the World Cup, probably on my parents' dime if I'm lucky. Those tickets are going to be expensive.
As a 27-year-old?
Well, okay, true. I will be older.
We'll be a little older.
Me and my dad have talked about this for a while. Okay? All right. But I'm saying, there's going to be reasonably priced tickets for Copa America where you could get to see really good games and really good players. This isn't like, CONCACAF where it's like going to be all shit teams. There's South America teams here that are going to be really good and really competitive. So I'm pumped to get $50 tickets and get drunk at Soldier Field watching teams.
Yeah, fingers crossed. We'd love a game in Chicago.
Yeah, that's another thing. We don't know if it'll be at Soldier, but they should.
Yeah, it would be cool. Yeah, I mean, and like, it's easy to think of it from a kind of like, what are the casual fans here in the U.S. going to do? But also, you got to take into consideration like all of South America. Like, U.S. is such an easy travel situation. Maybe not like transit. That's a whole podcast for another time, I suppose. But just getting here in the first place, that's going to be easy for South Americans. Something that they want to do. I bet the Argentinian fans are going to be all out for it if it's one of Messi's last big tournaments. So, yeah, I'm really stoked. And Lodge, you mentioned the meaningful games. You want to add some context to why meaningful games are important in this next 4 years?
Yeah. So, as our team kind of gets older, we were obviously a very young team in the last World Cup, second youngest, third youngest. I forget what we settled on, something in there. But we were one of the youngest teams, and so this World Cup was really just about us getting experience, playing some top teams, getting the young guys some games under their belt so that when the World Cup kind of comes around, we have more of that, round of 16 experience. We have the knockout experience, things like that. This just gives us another opportunity to do so. On a little bit of a smaller scale, but any international tournament, you're going to be having some pretty high-intensity games. So it's the ability to see who can persevere, who can't. If the team can come together, a good opportunity to gel. And, yeah, I'm really looking forward to kind of seeing the young team. At that point, they'll be honestly middle-aged for a professional career. So it'll be good.
Yeah. And it was also just looking dangerous there for a while that, we were going to automatically qualify for the World Cup and just have like nothing.
That's a good point.
So I think and we're going to get into the coaches, but, there's a lot of argument being made that, like, for those who aren't familiar, the international game, like the role of the coach is a lot more, I don't know, it's more like being a CEO, right? Like, you're watching a lot of games, but you're not day to day working with your guys. They come in for camps every few months. That's when you touch base with them and stuff like that.
Like a GM, I would say. Yeah.
So like the appeal of it, even though the appeal of coaching Brazil sounds on paper amazing for like a coach who wants to coach and be with his players, it's not as appealing. So I think the prospect of like 4 years with no World Cup qualifiers and like, playing for the Gold Cup and CONCACAF was probably not very enticing for coaches. So just from the coaching perspective and who we could get, I think that's a huge deal. And so
that's a good point. I don't think a Gold Cup is looking good in a trophy cabinet compared to some European competitions. So,
I hadn't thought of that. And because from a coaching perspective, that would make a huge difference.
Yeah.
So I think we're lucky then that we're having this Copa America. I guess we'll get to the coaching situation later, but I'm excited for it.
Jose Mourinho isn't bragging about winning a Gold Cup. I'll tell you that. He's not pointing up in the stands. One Gold Cup. Yeah. So, yeah. Also, just my take on I see all the time, and having gone through a World Cup now as a U.S. men's national team fan, it's crazy just how completely irrational that tournament is. How much emotional investment you have in 3 90-minute games and then whatever, right? And it's like, if Tyler Adams just tracks back, whatever, and that's like 4 years of soccer build up and a couple plays like that. And so the World Cup's an irrational event, and people have already been planning for 2026 and how important it is. But for me, I think that this Copa America allows us to just plan for 2024. Like, you're playing in a major tournament. It's not like you're not probably going to win the World Cup in 2026. So why not just put all your efforts towards doing everything you can in 2024, and you're still probably not going to win that either. But you have a chance to make a deep run. And so guys like Tim Ream, I'm not here to phase him out. No, he's not going to play in the World Cup, but he's got a shot at the Copa America. So I would like to see our coaches and stuff frame to even hiring the coaches and then whoever they pick for personnel. I'd like to see him frame it in that context.
Yeah, no, I agree. This tournament is big enough that it stands alone, right?
Yeah,
this isn't
exactly.
just
it's not a warm-up.
This isn't just the part of the road to the World Cup, like something like the Gold Cup in a way would be considered. This is legit, and like you said, this kind of even has more potential upside than a World Cup because we actually kind of do sort of have a chance to win this.
Yeah,
still not going to be favored, but there's more of an opportunity, especially like some of these teams that it's not as deep.
I could see us having a semifinal berth. If we make it to the final, that would be dream come true.
Yeah, I mean, you need something crazy to happen to Argentina and Brazil.
Right.
It's like,
yeah.
Yeah, but just like even the prospect of like, a semifinal matchup against Messi.
That would be cool.
Like, in a tournament like this, like we've never even had that opportunity before. So I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be awesome. And let's see. Hopefully the U.S. takes it as seriously as we do, because we do take it seriously here.
Yes.
We say sitting in the basement on a Wednesday night recording this.
That's as serious as it gets. All right, going back to the wheel. The wheel's getting smaller and smaller, folks.
All right.
Does it like eliminate as you spin it?
Yeah, you have the option. It's pretty cool. I'm a fan. We're gonna work this in somehow. All right, so we got a picture of Greg and Ernie. So, if you didn't listen to our last GeoGate pod, I recommend you check that out. But U.S. Soccer, quote unquote, cleaned house of kind of a lot of the people responsible for the crazy GeoGate scenario. Although it seems it's unclear how good they're corporating this kind of switch up of the leadership. I believe that Brian McBride won it out earlier, and it seems like Ernie Stewart, he just took a job in the Netherlands at PSV Eindhoven, which, for those of you who don't know, is like one of the bigger clubs in the Netherlands. So, these people that were intertwined with the Gio story are going out, and it doesn't seem necessarily they got fired, but it would be in everyone's best interest to make it look pretty. So, and also of note, Gio Reyna, Gio's dad, who was the sporting director at Austin FC, resigned from his role, and he's now like still on the
he's on the board or something like that.
Yeah, he's like a technical advisor, so he may be like poking his head in there every once in a while. Maybe he hasn't moved offices. I don't know. But what do you guys think of this shakeup, and what do you think it means for the future of Greg Berhalter? We'll start there, and then we can get into some coaching rumors.
Don't look at me first, Max. I'm gonna let you start with this one, okay?
Yeah, I mean, you don't love to see how this unfolded, but I'm not mad at the end result. Like I think, and we'll get to, this was kind of like the old boys club. We weren't really happy with how these guys were running it. We didn't necessarily think they're the best guys to run it. Did I kind of want this calamity to occur for this to happen? No, but I'm glad that we kind of have this clean slate, can start fresh. I'm glad we have people that aren't going to be biased towards Greg in the coaching process. And I'm glad that going along with that, these names being thrown out for the coaching process, like Jose Mourinho, like obviously moonshots, but I'm glad we're like thinking big a little bit with it. I'm glad we're not just going to be like, all right, what MLS coach is up and coming that looks like a good coach? No, like we're thinking of some big names. Like I jokingly mentioned Pochettino, but I mean, hell, at the rate they're going, he's probably on the list too. So I'm glad we got this clean slate. I'm glad some of these guys are out. Maybe not thrilled how it happened, but I'm not mad at it. I'm kind of like, I'm happy with the spot we're in. We can look at all the possibilities, Lodge. There's so many possibilities.
There are a lot of possibilities. I would tend to agree with you. I think the timing's perfect. I think obviously you can't do it before World Cup. Boys clubs got to stay for the boys club, or else the whole kind of thing goes out and we don't even make it out into the round of 16. I think that becomes the whole what's ever on everybody's mind. They let us focus on the World Cup, which is great. Now, a little bit quietly, I mean, I honestly haven't even heard that much about it. I think they're doing it in a little bit of a we're a little embarrassed that they've been here this long, so now we're just going to quietly shove them out the door, which I'm okay with. Because a casual doesn't really see these people that often, you're not thinking about that.
They were getting cute with the how they announced some of the stuff too, like the classic kind of like drop the news on a like in between games too, like almost just like a time where like you would expect other news or whatever. But.
Yeah, it was a good time. It was like a mid-season shakeup when like your coach is going to go out and you just kind of throw in another guy in the meantime. But I'm excited for the coaching search. I'm excited for the leadership search. That's all I got to say. I don't think I have that much more on this.
Yeah, I mean, so before we get into some of the rumors and what we think of them individually, so we talked about this guy, Fullerin. I think his first name's Fullerin. Balogun. Okay.
Florian.
It is Florian.
Florian Balogun.
So it's spelled F-O-L. It's weird. Anyways, so he is a
Fularian?
American English, Nigerian dual national. He just banged in 3 goals in France this afternoon to become the lead scorer in France. Can you guys know can you name me a few players who play in France that by default means he has more goals than?
Mbappe?
Messi? Neymar?
Yeah, just about. So I mean, this kid's a talent. Like some people were saying, like Harry Kane, Ivan Toney, all these English guys are ahead of him. I'm like, yeah, well, he's 21, and he's doing this. Like there's no reason to believe he can't be extremely good, right? So what I'm getting at, it's like crunch time. Like this guy could be a game changer in the position we most need, and I'm a little bit worried. In terms of the timing, like I really wish we had a structure right now to like it's like having a 5-star recruit, like as he's got 3 schools to choose from and you're one of them, like, and everyone's out the door. So I'm a little bit nervous about that. I hope that we can get people in reasonably.
I want to say I was texted about him today, actually, off somebody that listened to the podcast. Jack, if you're listening, thanks for texting me. I didn't know that much about him. I went back and I watched him. Guy's class. Yeah. Guys class. It would be, fantastic to get him. But as we said, England's looking likely, but there's a chance. And usually at this point, it would be great for Special Agent Greg Berhalter to go and recruit a dual national. That's one thing that he did very well. Yeah. We don't have him. A little worried that we may have ruined an opportunity, but at the same time, it's going to be okay either way. I'm feeling okay either way.
Okay. I'm not.
Yeah, and doesn't he have like a weird situation of like how he has to commit to the U.S.? Like, doesn't he need to play in like some type of game doesn't he, like, if he plays in like a friendly for the U.S., he would be then cap tied to the U.S., so he's like hesitant to play in any friendlies.
Right. Or even same thing for Nigeria, because I'm sure they're all over him as well, right?
So I didn't even realize Nigeria was in.
Yeah. So he's got options. We're fighting with some good opponents here. But yeah, exactly. So he's 21 years old. He's not going to be starting over Harry Kane tomorrow. So he's he's pretty non-committal, although he said he wants to announce at some point soon. So it feels very college football-esque.
Yeah, it's like he's high quality, and so the highest quality that he's going to get in a U21 team is England. So hats off to him playing England all you want under 21, because that's what he's doing. But it would be cool if he switches over at the end.
Yeah, well, maybe we can get him some NIL money. Maybe
that's true.
Commercial. I don't know. We got to get the NIL masterminds in play. Maybe there's some deal we could work out. But yeah. He in the YouTube clips I've seen, he looks.
Didn't that guy from Florida just like decommit from Florida because they got rid of his $14.5 million deal, and he's like now going to ASU or something?
It's ridiculous. It's the Wild West in the NIL. It's crazy. But I don't know. We should leverage some of this American crony capitalism to get our players.
I think we say we'll give him Claudio Reyna, and Claudio Reyna will just burn the house down if Fuller doesn't get what he wants.
That's true.
That's our offer. Sign it, buddy. So that's the timing of the leadership. I'm a little more cool with the timing on the coaching, which is they've said we're going to find somebody by the end of summer, which means the CONCACAF Nations League and the CONCACAF Gold Cup, which are the 2 regional tournaments. Doesn't seem like we're going to have really a coach for those. But yeah, not the biggest deal in the world, but so yeah, I want to get some thoughts on some potential candidates. So what do you guys think of the idea of Jose Mourinho, the special one, as he's called? So many great quotes. My personal favorite: "If I speak, I'm in big trouble."
Can we just do like draft grades? I'd like to do like a quick report card. I think that's going to be the easiest way to do it for me. Yeah. I'd say for us, A+, probably. I mean, he's got the big game experience. He knows how very good man management. Questionable tactics as far as dealing with young players, but we're starting to get to a more mature team, and so I think he might be the guy to bring this team into the maturity, and so I think he's the perfect fit.
A+ just on entertainment value of just watching this unfold, but like, do you really think he's gonna? How do you think he would put up with Walker Zimmerman? Like, how do you think he'd be able to put up with just some of the lackluster talent?
I think he would. I mean, first of all, the good news is we're phasing out guys like Walker Zimmerman, but like. He's gonna hate Sergiño Dest. I just know it. He's gonna despise that kid. That kid's gonna walk in with a baguette, and he's just gonna be. He loves picking on people. He's gonna be all over Sergiño. That's my theory. But I'm in for entertainment value, and because I believe there is upside. But his tactics scare me because he can destroy teams, and I guys, I could see a scenario where maybe while not wanting Greg Berhalter back, maybe we're a little more thankful for him. Crazy thought, but I don't know.
That's just you.
Echo
echo chamber over there.
Yeah. Okay. Next one, Marcelo Bielsa.
I like his tactics. I like him. Doesn't speak English though. Yeah. And I remember watching the Leeds documentary, and I was like, this guy's coming to this English team, and he's like speaking Spanish. I don't know if he could really galvanize the nation.
Yeah. I feel like we're just not like, I don't want to say tolerant, but like he's not. Yeah, we're not there yet.
I feel like it hurts the overall buy-in that we would want to get. I like him. I like his tactics. I think he would kind of work well with what we got, but I don't know. He's also not the most exciting guy, just in general. I mean, the way we would play would be fun.
But he sits on that like he's like that coach who like your like base little league coach who sits on a bucket. He just sits on this little stoop the entire game. It's kind of awesome.
I like him. I think, as Max said, tactics wise, it's pretty to watch. I would be fine with that. I would say probably an A- to a B+ for me. Been out of the game for a little bit as far as coaching. Was the last Leeds coach, so has a little. Were any of our players at that point there? Maybe Brendan Aronson. I think maybe we had one guy. Yeah. So that means nothing anymore then. Yeah, I don't know. I would be okay with it. I would be, fine.
I feel like that one's a little more likely. Like he's at a stage of his career where I could see him actually maybe taking that job, as opposed to Jose Mourinho. I really don't see that.
He would have to live in Chicago. Do you think he could put up with
either of those guys? That's crazy.
Is that where they would live?
They have to. They have to live in Chicago. Yeah.
Hopefully they get rid of that, man. That's so dumb. But
it is approximately 10 degrees outside, probably negative with wind chills. So
a little bit different than Rome this time of year, Jose. Personally, Bielsa plays man-to-man soccer. That's psychotic. I respect that he's a limbs coach. He's fun. He's made things fun. But I like that for me is like, Jose. I can sort of see it, and I like ambition. But I would rather have Jim Curtin from the MLS, who's like the good Philly Union coach, than Marcelo Bielsa. I'm dead serious. Lodge, that's just me. You let me know. But that I don't know. That just doesn't. At some point, I think we could be in trouble if we just start asking for crazy names. But last one, I'm going to throw out Jesse Marsch. What do you guys think? Coach of Leeds United right now.
That would probably be my fate. Like in terms of plausibility, and also just the overall team dynamic. I like Jesse Marsch a lot. I think he would get buy-in right away. I think his tactics fit. In terms of like quality of a coach, obviously he's not on the same level as some of the guys we've talked about, but in terms of plausibility and I think getting buy-in from the players, I like him. I like Jesse Marsch a lot. I think he's hard not to like.
Mm-hmm. Relatability is when it comes down to it. I mean, he's a relatively young coach. I think so. I would say probably 40s. Yeah. All of his speeches that I've heard for Leeds have been pretty much like what you would hear out of like a college basketball coach or something like that, like lighting a fire under the kids' asses. And sometimes we definitely look like we need that. I don't think that it would be bad. I also think that it might be a good time for him to transition because he did get a little bit of money in this transfer window, but he was on the hot seat not only like a month or two ago. So I would say
he's
probably
a couple games away from being right back on it too, right?
So like it's a good time. If that were to come about, I think it's perfect opportunity for both, and we meld well. I give it an A+. A lot of high grades for Lodge.
Easy grader. I like it too. My question, and I even kind of agree that it could be a system fit. My question is if it's not a system fit, he's known for doing the Red Bull way, which is this, as we talked about in the crash course, it's this like pretty limited, like just run like crazy, win the ball strategy. And so my thing with Jesse Marsch would be, okay, it goes wrong. What now? Like, do you start to mold to our players? Like we criticized Berhalter, he didn't mold to our players. So that's my question with him. But yeah, all right, we're just gonna take a quick break and get back to the last two items on our wheel. Probably the two best items in my opinion. So, all right, welcome back to the American Soccer Crash Course. Max just hit a two times rep on the bench over there. We are rip roaring, ready to go.
Was that a PR?
Oh no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, okay.
No.
Didn't even need the spot.
I'm not gonna say how much weight it was because it's not that impressive, but I should have been able to do more than 2 reps.
I got in there and I did like 5 or 6 afterwards. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The producer was just ripping them out.
Yeah. All right. Any guess what the wheel just landed on, boys?
Leeds United States.
No.
Gio.
Oh,
that's the Sally.
There it is, baby.
Yeah.
Yes. Gio making statements out here. So for those of you who live under a U.S. men's national team rock, Gio Reyna was back with Dortmund. The Bundesliga in Germany was back. But Gio Reyna subbed into a 3-3 game for Dortmund and hit an absolute worldy banger to win the game 4-3. 3 days later, came back. Dortmund was not playing well that day, 1-1. And last minute, Sebastian Haller flicks one on, and Gio gets on the end of it. Back-to-back game-winning goals, the second one being a buzzer beater. And during the first one, when he hit that amazing goal, my man was letting all the angst out from a really tough month. He was hitting this, like, I'm not listening to the haters. He was telling them to keep talking. What else did he do? He was all over it.
He was on one, yeah.
Yeah, he was on one is the best way to say it. So what did you guys think? It was an really exciting thing to see, regardless of player. But what were your guys' thoughts?
I think we've been talking about, we were at a little bit of an impasse with Gio. Was, do we start centering the whole team around him, start playing with him as the focal point, or do we just kind of leave him out and not necessarily bring him in and maybe not play him in his best position? I think he's shown, and he's starting to show at least, in very small minutes at Dortmund, because he's still coming back of that injury. He hasn't even come close to playing a full 90.
We're going to get to that fitness nebulous kind of thing going on around it.
Yeah, but he's definitely showing, that he has the quality. That first goal was insane. Like, we're not seeing another U.S. men's national team player score that. I don't think we've ever seen somebody from the U.S. score that.
Yeah, honestly. And as a guy who's watched Dortmund, like, that doesn't happen every week. But when Gio Reyna scores, he does stuff like that. I saw him one time, like, he was making a run in behind the defense, caught a very long cross that whipped in, and he went, like, one touchdown, boom, flicked it over the keeper, like, just effortless. Like, just so effortless. Like, he's got it in him. And so, I'm not going to say egg on my face, but certainly taking my challenge.
He's risen to the challenge. And we talked about it before, we were worried. This is the kind of thing with like Gio's kind of flimsy mentality and injury history. We were worried that this kind of incident would kind of start to derail his career. And he's answered as basically as soon as possible that, he's not going to let it derail his career. So I think that's huge from that standpoint. In terms of Gio being the focal point of our team based on 2 nice goals, I think we actually need to really start seeing him putting in 90 minutes of quality play. But this is exciting to see, and we can kind of take a deep breath at all right, Gio's going to be fine, because he looks great. So it's great to see.
I think long term, I do think he sent a message. Even he was, given his fair share of celebrations and shit back to his haters, I suppose. But I think he's telling us, even that might be the case in the short term about his fitness and his ability to play 90 and whether he should be the focal point. But the bottom line is you can't install a coach who has beef with this kid. He's too important to your future. He immediately is telling us in a couple of games, hey, I'm the future of the U.S. men's national team, and I'm owed that priority because I go out and I earn it, and this is what it looks like. And hopefully it only gets better. So respect to Gio for that. Good to see him put it behind him too. So afterwards, the Dortmund coach did say that Gio was not 100%, which sparked a little debate on U.S. men's national team Twitter, as lots of people were very critical of Greg Berhalter for his decision to give Gio a limited role. So do you guys connect the dots there? What do you think? Do you give Greg some respect? You weren't familiar with his game?
I think it gives Greg a little bit of cover, but when it still doesn't give him an excuse for subbing Jordan Morris on above Gio, right? It gives him cover in terms of all right, maybe this guy isn't in the starting lineup like we wanted him to be, but it still doesn't excuse some of the in-game decision, because he's obviously fit to be a sub. It's clear. Right. So I don't think it fully excuses
that one was allegedly the disciplinary because of the Jordan Morris. I wouldn't have subbed Jordan Morris on either, but yeah, that one was allegedly disciplinary. But you're right.
So Christian, you did eat your words on Gio. You did
sort of. Yes.
As the resident Dortmund / USMNT fan in the group, you did eat your words a little bit in saying that he wasn't up to that level. He plays to that level.
I said he had been.
Yeah,
but he could.
I think there's only going to be one of us that eats their words today. I think I'm going to stick to my guns and say, you don't. He's 20 years old. A little bit of a fragile psyche because he is 20 years old. I'm going to cut him a lot more slack than I'm going to cut Greg. Yeah. I still stick with my guns and say you don't tell a kid before the tournament even starts you're not going to be starting. Yeah. You certainly don't do it to one of your players who's going to be a difference maker, who you want to be a difference maker. I still think that's inexcusable. I still think that Greg was in the wrong there, and I'm sticking with it.
All right, I like it. Fair enough. So yeah, hopefully we'll see Gio just continue to. He didn't play that third game too. That's our guy. I mean, it was electric. It was electric, I must say. And so finally, arguably, the biggest news out of this month, the transfer news. And although there's only
you don't have to spin the wheel for that one.
No, the wheel's only got one option, but maybe the producer will just throw it in for shits. But
sure.
Yeah. So let's get down to it. Who are you guys' winners and losers? You can each give one of each, or one of whatever you want to do. Is what I'm trying to say. For this January transfer window. Certainly a few people that come to mind, and January always seems to be a time where there's lots of links and not a ton of substance. So, Max, you want to lead us off?
Yeah. Winners and losers. I mean, I'm going to start with I think Weston McKennie is a winner. I think just in terms of his playing time, I think he's going into a good situation. Coach is going to show him favor. He's got his boys now. Yeah. Juventus, I think it was just starting to get tough for him. I think all around.
Yeah, they were putting he was still playing a lot, but he's playing like as a wingback. So I think he just wasn't happy. Like,
yeah,
that's part of it.
I have some potential concerns with that, which we can discuss later. But I think it's a good move for him. Loser. This one's maybe getting a little obscure here. I saw this on Twitter though. Conrad De La Fuente. Yeah. You guys familiar with him? He had that transfer to Hull City fall through. This is an obscure one for the casuals.
This is deep, but it's crazy.
But he's basically had all these transfers fall through, and this probably would have been a good move for him. And I was, and he probably just has the worst agent ever because he's not able to get any of these transfers to go through.
And it was kind of derailing. The papers were signed. It was like somebody didn't fax it in time. The kid's stuck in Greece, not even playing. It's terrible.
Yeah. I think it was the second time that it's happened or something like that. Yeah. It was crazy. Kind of getting into my biggest loser. I am going to go out on a limb here and say Christian Pulisic. And I don't think it's necessarily anything due to his fault. However, he got injured before the January transfer window. He's going to take a while to come back. We have a lot of Chelsea players coming in. I think
Chelsea went crazy for the casuals.
I think they spent 600 million euros or something like that. New American owner. Guy wants to show off his big guns, play with his big toys. Apparently, nobody first of all, can I say something? Nobody in the Premier League knows what amortization is because apparently the way that this guy's getting around it is just amortizing all of his loans.
We'll see if he gets away with it. That's what I'm curious about because
so he signs at 120. He signs a guy for 120 mil, and then the guy is on a 7-year contract or something like that. He signed everybody to massive contracts, 8-9 years, and so he can only say it's going $7 million off this year, $7 million off the next, and so it's a whole accounting thing.
I just spent 120 million yesterday.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
So, but back to my original point, Christian Pulisic, I think is a loser because I don't think he's a loser. I think he's the biggest loser of this January transfer window because they went out and bought Mudryk, who's a winger. They went out and bought who's the other guy I'm thinking of?
João Felix for $50 million on a loan until the end of the year.
Hakeem Ziyech didn't even leave. He was supposed to leave. And so now he's just fighting with even more people.
It's 10 or 11 people for 3 spots. Yeah. It's crazy. It's madness.
And so the argument's just going to then it's going to become more and more stressful for him. He's going to try to rush to get back because he's losing playing time as it is. I think it just adds and compounds on an already unfortunate situation.
Yeah, and like you said, he was hurt, so he may have been able to go somewhere. But looks like he's stuck for half a season. Well, hopefully he gets some games. It's not gonna be great. My big winner is John Brooks. John Brooks was out of the picture entirely from soccer. He was on the bench in Portugal, but he just signed with a team in Germany. admittedly looking real rusty watching him play today, but it gives him a chance to be back in the picture. Like we said, if we frame things around 2024, he's only going to be like 30, only 31 years old. We just fielded Tim Ream, a 35-year-old at the World Cup. So totally reasonable that he can get in. If this is maybe a stay woke take, but Brendan Aronson might be a loser in the Weston McKennie thing. He hasn't been playing very well, which is his own fault, but they bring McKennie in. Just looking at the midfield and how things shake out, I'm not sure how they're going to do it because Weston doesn't exactly fit what they're doing. So I'm thinking they're going to have to switch what they're doing. And I think Brendan Aronson is going to be a casualty. So good news is his friend Weston's in. The bad news is it might take a spot. But yeah, those are the winners and losers, with the highlight being Weston McKennie's move to Leeds, which is just electric to have now as a major Leeds soccer and Leeds United States, as they're calling it. You have a team coached by an American in Jesse Marsch, with American captain Tyler Adams, Weston McKennie, your second best player, and Brendan Aronson, a well-regarded player, all on the same team, all on Peacock or NBC or whatever every week. Like, that's must-see TV.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you didn't know who to cheer for in the Premier League, now you do.
Right, yeah. And if they all leave, I'm done. I'm out. Yeah. But it should also be noted that Weston's, we talked about in the crash course, which was our big lead up to the World Cup project, we talked about Weston McKennie's agents being really solid for him most of the time. Mm-hmm. I think they did it again. This is just a loan deal from Juventus that if Leeds get relegated, he goes back to Juventus just fine, and if they stay up, Leeds have the option to buy him. So again, setting him up for success. Christian Pulisic needs to call those guys.
Yeah, that's a savvy move for sure. Because that's the one part I am a little worried about. Like, it reminds me of fantasy. A lot of idiosyncratic risk here, right? You don't want to have three defenders from United on your team, because if they can see it, it's bad for you. Right. So what it feels like a little bit with this, right? We got a lot of eggs in one basket. So if the season doesn't go well, our team doesn't go well, but that contract definitely makes it a little better. But still, I'm a little worried about what happens if this doesn't work out. Mm-hmm. So
I think it's pretty cool that he has a loan obligation to buy, and the number that they can buy him at is 40 mil. That's a pretty cool number.
Yeah, that's good.
That instills a little bit of confidence in a kid.
Yeah, I'll take it for guys playing opposition stuff. So it's gonna be exciting. And you can catch us watching the games on the Monday Morning Center back coming soon. Last pitch before we go, just if you're interested in doing a remote podcast, it's not as scary as it looks, I would say, if that's a concern. And yeah, we're looking forward to doing it. Should be a kind of a pretty loose, fun kind of commitment thing that hopefully we can build, 6 or 7 guys that might want to jump in here and there. So, any last thoughts, boys?
ASCC is back, baby.
We're back.
Been a while.
It's good to be back.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Go USA.